I had my second NDE in 2001, which was a big catalyst for me. And I was inner tubing down the Guadalupe River in San Antonio, Texas. And the shuttle bus went to pick up my girlfriends and I to take us back to the outrigger so we could end the day. And it was a really good day. We had a lot of fun. And when we got on the bus, it was a small school bus. It was full. And they told us, come on, go ahead. And so our group and others were standing in the aisleway. I was up against the emergency exit door, and the bus was pulling a trailer, utility trailer, medium size, where we had all our gear, our ice chests and inner tubes and things like that. So as he was pulling away from a red light and he was shifting gears, I was thrown up against the back door and I fell out. The back door actually popped open and I fell out onto the road from the bus, and the utility trailer ran over my neck and my head. My first thought was, I can't believe I'm falling out of this bus. I hit the trailer hitch, I bounced onto the pavement, and at that moment, and I bounced onto my side. At that moment, I thought, I screamed in my head, "Stop, you're killing me." And it was at that point when the tire ran over my head, and I popped out of my body, my neck and my head. I popped out of my body and I was floating above my body in the road. And I thought, okay, well, these are all these thoughts going through my head. I did die. So I did die. I wasn't afraid or anything like that. I just accepted the fact that I did die. I knew that I had that awareness that we do this. I had done this many times. And so this was another time. And I was thinking about my friends and my day as all these thoughts were going through my head, how it would be it would really upset their day because we had such a good day and here I go and die on them. And so it wouldn't be a fun day for them in their memory. And we were celebrating a girlfriend's birthday. So I was thinking about those thoughts, but it didn't make me want to come back. And I saw a big bus, a commuter bus driving up toward my body. The cars hadn't quite stopped yet. And I thought, I hope that bus doesn't run over my body because that would really make a mess. But I wasn't afraid. I knew that I had no attachment to my body. I knew that this was the observer, was my soul, my spirit. And I was thinking about my partner at the time, and I thought he'll be okay. I could see him sitting there. He was stressed and in grief, but I knew he would be okay. And my sister, who I was really close to, she had family, she had her kids, and her husband, I knew they'd be okay. And then when I thought about my mom, I took care of my mom at that point. I felt a presence behind me and I turned around and there was my stepdad who had passed 3 years earlier, and I was very happy to see him. And he told me, the first thing he said was, "It's not your time." And I kind of argued and said, "What do you mean? I want to stay here with you," because we were very close. And that was also a catalyst for me. When he died, I started opening up spiritually and having actually conscious out-of-body experiences at that time, sleep paralysis episodes. And so he tells me it's not my time, and he's telling me that my mom needs me, and also that I have things to do. There was that telepathic conversation, but I still didn't want to come back. And as we're communicating, I feel movement to my right, and there's a tunnel, a portal opening up on my right, and I notice it as what I call the Ancestor tunnel, and I see my ancestors within that portal as it's opening up, and I recognize some of them from this life and some that I wouldn't recognize here, but I do recognize in that spirit state. And I noticed that their faces were not really happy to see me. There wasn't a big celebration, and I knew in my soul that when we do leave this lifetime, that there's a celebration for us, welcoming home kind of thing. And I thought, and those thoughts were going through my mind, okay, well, I guess this is more confirmation. Maybe I'm not supposed to be here, but I still didn't want to come back. And then beyond that tunnel, that portal, I see a bright light like the sun, and that portal starts to widen and open. And I see a figure moving out of that portal. And I notice, and he's moving toward me, and I notice that and who he is, and he has a white robe, the long hair, the beard, shoulder length hair, the beard. And I will say I was raised Catholic, but I wasn't a religious person. I didn't resonate with how my grandmother taught us how Catholic upbringing was, that you better do this or God's going to punish you kind of thing. So, and my parents weren't religious either. So again, I didn't have a spiritual center. So I recognized him as Christ, as Jesus. And in that moment, I knew that I missed him terribly and that I needed to be with him, and I flew to him. Even though I didn't really, I believed he existed. I believed in some entity that we call God, some powerful, benevolent, that's not all punishing entity that is definitely taking care of me because I took a lot of chances in my life. I was a partier and trying to stuff down all the stuff that we don't want to heal, don't want to look at, even though I didn't know I had anything that I needed to heal. I was just moving through life that way. And so as soon as I recognized him, I flew to him and he embraced me. And the first thing he said to me too was, "It's not your time." And I told him I wanted to stay with him. And he chuckled, which is a beautiful sound. And he picked up my chin and I looked in his eyes and I felt this sense of peace and love and complete unconditional love for me. His gaze and being in his embrace was like a balm for my soul. I couldn't feel guilty about anything. Even the fact that I wanted to stay and didn't want to come back was just washed away in his eyes. I just wanted to be with him, with that that complete love. And as I was gazing into his eyes, I noticed what I was seeing was the universe in his eyes, the complete universe that we all are a part of. And I was reflecting that from my eyes into his. So we became merged as the universe. And I felt this warmth in my heart center, and my heart center began to glow with light and so much love and bliss. And the me, Sharon, was going away, and I just became pure love and light, merging with him as I was merging with what he was filling me up with. We are light, we are love, and I became that. And I knew there wasn't a knowing; it was just being love and light. But the light is tangible. The light is intelligence. The light's who and what we are, and I didn't want for anything. It was complete bliss and joy. Afterwards, I like to say, if I could smile, if I had a body and could smile, it would break my face. That was me smiling so wide, because there's nothing to compare, really. Pure joy. I'm sure we can get some of that here, definitely, but it was just completely filled with it. The body was gone and I was the light. People have asked me, how long were you there? And I answer, I'm still there. That's who and what we are. So I was in that space of who and what we are. And then I hear my name and he calls my name, and I come back to my identity, my awareness as Sharon. And he asked me if I'd like to go on a journey with him. And I say yes. And he holds his hand out for me, and I take his hand. And we fly through the cosmos. We're just moving through the cosmos. And I like to say, I don't know if we're moving through the cosmos or the cosmos is moving through us, but that it felt like we were moving through the cosmos. And I also like to share that his hand was I felt the intenseness, the physical intenseness of every line and crevice in his hand. Our senses in the inner or higher planes are so much more acute than they are here in the physical world. I equate it to like wearing a glove over our physical senses here because of the density of our earth plane here. And so we're flying or moving through the cosmos, lights and colors. And we come up to a blue portal, a star that I recognize as a star. We move through that, and then we come out another star system. I guess I don't have the cosmic knowledge of it at that point, but I do recognize a planet that we come across we're floating above, which is a blue-green planet, and I notice it as a ocean planet, a water planet. Right away, I recognize it. I can feel that this is a planet that I have that I consider a home for me. I believe we have many homes because we are multidimensional. One of the things I remembered with working with him after, and this is one that I really enjoy a lot, is the water world and the ocean world. And so I recognized it, and I felt the planet, the matrix of the planet, the mother, the body of the planet, which I consider the mother, connecting to my matrix within me, the matrix that's within our memory, soul memory, our records. Was activating so that I could connect with her matrix, just like we are connected to the earth with our matrix here which keeps us here and connected to the planet. And so as I was connecting to her matrix, I was actually becoming aware of her as the planet, and for my body as the planet, as an aware being as the planet. And I realize after that we don't love our bodies enough here, because as she had so much love and compassion, I guess is the word, but love and caring for her body, she had the same love and caring for every single body on her body, just like I feel Mother Earth has for us here on this planet. And so no matter what we do to her, that's the level of her awareness and her, I guess we call that being Gaia. That's the level of her awareness. She loves us, everything on her body, because she loves her body and she loves us. We are a part of her body. And that's what I felt there. And so I could bring my awareness as her, as the body of the planet, down to the smallest single cell amoeba, back and forth. I could do that. And so I hear my name again. And as I'm playing with that, or remembering that, as we are part of that body of planet, body of, planet body, what we call it. I come back and my awareness comes back as Sharon, and Christ, Yeshua, Jesus. He says, are you ready to go down and dive down? And so I did. We dove down into the planet, into the water, and I was integrated with my ocean avatar, my body there. I realized that I had remembered that I had a mate, I have a family, I have parents, I have a community, I have children, and which becomes very emotional for me. And so I was welcomed there. They could tell that they knew that information, that I was there to visit. Not to stay, but to visit. However, I was wanting to stay, even though that wasn't in my mind. I was just enjoying the homecoming. And then, again, I don't know how long I was there. I believe that that part of me is still there, and that we can move our focus. We are multidimensional, so we can move our focus to different avatars wherever we choose to express and focus our soul energy. And so I hear my name again. And Christ asks me, are you ready to go back to Earth? And I say, all right, on one condition, that I know that you are with me tangibly throughout the rest of my life, and that I know that you walk with me, and there's no doubt in my mind that you are always with me. And he said, it's a deal. And then I'm back in my body in the middle of the road, and I jump up, run to the side of the road, and by that time the bus had stopped, and my friends jump out and make sure I'm okay, and they call an ambulance and they take me to the hospital. I was in the hospital 5 hours, and I didn't have anything that was broken. I do have muscle damage and things like that, and nerve damage in my neck, but I have road rash. My hair was falling out because what the nurse said, tire tracks across my head. They were kind of joking with me that I had tire tracks across my head, because my hair was falling out. But and I have scars. But yeah, I do believe that being in the light with Christ, being the light, that healed my body, or else I may not be here. Yeah. All that light and all that knowledge and all that information was too much for my body and my psyche to handle. However, as I was remembering it, the biggest thing for me is, of course, is having Christ in my life in a tangible way. And now I will say that when I opened up to him being in my life, and it took me a little while, because I didn't feel worthy. And I didn't even know I didn't feel worthy. I just know that when my mother passed not long after, just like my dad said. And so my psychic and mediumship abilities began coming to the surface afterwards. I believe we're all psychic kids, right? We all have these abilities. And then life circumstances can cause us to shut them down for whatever reason, unless they're fostered in us, right? And mine wasn't fostered. So after my NDE, those abilities started coming to the surface. And I was communicating with my mother after she passed. And she told me that I have someone here for you that wants to be a guide for you, type of thing. And so I would ask her questions, because I really, really missed my mother. We were very close. So I'd ask her questions about him, even though I felt his presence next to me. when she was talking to me. Because as a medium, you can feel when someone enters your field and someone leaves and someone else enters. And so I'd ask her, and she called him top shelf. Because I'd say, is he a master? That kind of thing. I just started working on my spiritual progress and things like that, and learning about spirit guides and all that type of thing. And I said, oh, is he an ascended master? She said, he's top shelf. And so I'm like, oh, aren't I special, kind of thing. But, and so as I was working with her, I felt some kind of fear with wanting to be with him or work with him. And then finally I said, okay, I'll meet him. So I felt her energy move out and his energy move in. And it was so much love that I cried and sobbed for 2 weeks straight whenever he would move into my field, because I didn't feel worthy of that much unconditional love. I didn't feel worthy. And that's what we carry here on the earth plane. I didn't carry that when I left the body behind, but in the inner planes or in the higher planes when I was with him, but we carry it here. And that's what we come here to heal, is what I've learned and what he helped me with. And that amount of love is sometimes more than our nervous system can handle. And so I began working with him on a tangible basis. I could hear his voice in my head. He was helping me find my spiritual center, basically, find out who I was. I stopped partying. I promised him that I would be in meditation every night at 9 p.m., which I was. I kept true to my promise, and I knew that I needed to be committed if he was going to be committed as well. And I wanted to have, when I felt that love, I just knew that I needed it, and I needed him. And he helped me remember that we are love. One of my mantras was, I am love. And he helped me listen to my background tape and what I'm telling myself. I was telling myself that, I'm not worthy, I'm a failure, all that kind of stuff. I was apologizing all the time. And he said, he'd say to me, are you sure? Because we'd be having a conversation. And he said, are you sure about that? I'm like, I'm not sure what. He said, listen to what you're telling yourself. And I could hear myself apologizing. And so he gave me a mantra to replace that. And so things like that. And he helped me see why I was repressing my childhood, because I didn't remember a lot of my childhood. And he helped bring those memories up that were very painful. There was abuse involved from extended family members. And so I was repressing all that. So he helped me remember that and work through that and heal that. And I realized that and he helped me remember that I chose everything. I chose it all. There wasn't anything that I didn't choose. I'm not a victim of anything. And and then it went from healing this life, or remembering this life and all the experiences that I didn't want to deal with, to past lives where there was part of myself, me, different personalities, different soul extensions, had a lot of trauma. I had lost children, a lifetime that was a huge pivotal time for me that I needed to bring in, and that part of me was stuck blaming herself for losing her children. Those types of experiences where we hold on to the pain and the trauma, and there's guilt and shame and blame and everything that we hold on to, and we don't integrate that lifetime into the whole of our oversoul. So he helped me understand all that. And also, I was seeing lifetimes all the way back to the Galactic Wars. I was seeing in my experiences, I saw my first NDE when I was 9, where he met me there too. And when I was going through the trauma as a child. And he told me, you don't have to come back. He said, you suffered enough, my child, you don't have to return. I said, but I want to go back. See, I had just started my life. And I knew in that moment, and that NDE was very different than the one in 2001. I actually came out of my body into the void, and I was in this beautiful space, which I believe is the womb. It was like a womb, the primordial mother, and it was dark, but not dark. It was just support. And I felt totally supported. And so I was in that space when he came to meet me. There was that portal again opened up, and there he was. So I wasn't that long from him in that lifetime. So I was like, no, I want to go back. And he's like, are you sure? And I said, yeah. He said, all right. I knew it would be difficult, but I wanted to get it done. I didn't want to have to reincarnate again. So yeah, he helped me heal lifetimes after lifetime after lifetime of trauma that all of us bring forward. And I remembered that we are here back on this plane to heal what we have not healed before. And this is a pivotal time that we're in, which I'm sure you know, and everyone who's watching has figured it out by now. It's a time of healing. It's a shift because we're shifting. And if we don't, and this is what I understand, if we don't heal, it's going to be difficult to stay within the shift and be able to move through life and shift. I don't know how else to say it. It's going to be difficult to shift because the trauma that we carry is heavy. It's very heavy. That's why it stays in our mind and stays, and we keep repeating it over and over and thinking about it. And when we think about the past and all of that, it's because it's heavy compared to lightness, which is what we're moving into. And the lighter our load, we shouldn't even have a load anymore if we're healing, then the easier time we have. My website is SharonSananda.com, SharonSananda.com, and I am a practitioner now. I went from the corporate world into this world as a psychic medium. I also do past life soul retrieval, which is what Christ taught me to do and to help people with, and I teach courses and classes. I have an academy, Kumara Academy, dedicated to the teachings of Christ. And he also helped us all remember that we are Christ within us. That in his teachings, he says that he's here to help us remember who and what we are is with Christ within, and that we are love. And so we teach lots of courses and classes. I teach about psychic and mediumship development, out-of-body travel, which I have done since my stepfather. Since my stepfather passed, I've journaled over 2,000 travels. And once we learn how to travel outside this realm, we can remember that we are multidimensional. And there's nothing that we can't do. We're so much more powerful than what we've been programmed to believe. And so I have those two websites and do that work. I also wrote a book called Awakened Soul, where here it is right here, where I talk about my journey. And this is kind of what he looked like when I saw him. They did a good job with the art, and it's goes in a lot deeper with what I just shared here. But yeah, it took me 10 years to write, and because it's a lot, and I didn't know how to actually get this out because I was having my NDE was when not a lot of people were talking about NDEs, and so I'm like, how can I tell this story? People are going to think I'm crazy. I thought I was crazy, but I couldn't ignore it. And Christ helped me to not worry about what people think, right? Yeah. And so, yes, I have that book, and I also have a podcast called Awakened Soul on YouTube and on lots of other radio podcasts, Spotify, and all those places where you can find it. No matter what's going on in our life, in the world, that's keeping us from perhaps joy and love. Loving ourselves is number one. And that's one thing that he helped me remember, is we have to remember who and what we are, and that we are love in expression. That's what we are. And so everything is, if anything's getting you down, and believe me, we all have challenges, I know, but what he's helped me remember is that the best way to get through them is not to beat ourselves up, to become free-flowing vessels. And I do have, with the Academy, I do want to say that we have a community where we have study guides and things like that, where we gather together and study groups like the Way of Mastery, which are Christ teachings and metaphysical teachings, and practice circles and things like that, where if people want to get to know other people that are on this path, there are communities. It's really good to have support, I believe. It's good to have support when we are going through something that we don't understand and don't really have anybody to talk to. So reach out. If it's not our community, there's others out there. Be sure to reach out and talk to others that can understand what you're going through, and everything's going to be okay. We are moving into a really, really amazing time. He showed me that 20-something years ago. I saw that. I saw pretty much everything that we're going through, and I saw that it was going to be tough, but we are moving into a really amazing time, and just hold on and don't forget that we are love, and that's how we get through it. Love ourselves, love each other, and know that this too shall pass.